you, thank you. Good to see you. Oh, this is awesome. Good to see you today and having lunch with Birdella. We're so glad to have you here, and I see you all are sitting and you've got your lunch and you are ready to eat. I am so glad. Now, what we're going to talk about this week, and let me introduce myself to those who don't know me. My name is Birdella Walker. I am the president of God's Honor. Hello. Hello. Thank you. Good to see you. Oh, this is awesome. Good to see you today and having lunch with Birdella. We're so glad to have you here, and I see you all are sitting and you've got your lunch and you are ready to eat. I am so glad. Now, what we're going to talk about this week, and let me introduce myself to those who don't know me. My name is Birdella Walker. I am the president of God's Honorable Women, Women of Ministry, your desire, God's plan, and your destiny. Yeah. We have an interesting subject on today, and today we're going to talk about manipulation, the sin of witchcraft. Wow. Manipulation is power and control given to another person or taken by another person that doesn't belong to them, where they are taking power over someone else's life or they're controlling someone else's life. And so we want to talk about that today and let you know that even with the brokenness of these clays that we're seeing, my title under the subject is really Broken Vessels of Clay. So under that, there are many components, many issues that are involved that will help us to understand what brings us to a place of brokenness, what brings us to a place of marred, which doesn't take us to the place where God desires us to be. And we see a lot of manipulation when people don't even know that they're manipulating. People don't even know that they're controlling someone else's life. They don't even know that they have power over someone else's life. And the person who's being manipulated doesn't know that they're even being manipulated. They know something's wrong. They know that they don't feel good about themselves. They know that they feel like it's if they don't do this or don't do that, this is going to happen. This one's going to be mad at me. But let me not get ahead of myself. Let me just back up a bit and just share with you. I'm so glad you're here today. I'm glad you all are here having lunch with me. And those of you by way of Facebook, I'm glad you're with me as well. I'm glad we can come together each week and talk about the different subjects, the different topics that will help us to become better people. I really believe that it's important for us to realize who we are, and not only who we are, but whose we are. It's important for us to get to a place of recognizing that we are wonderfully and fearfully made after the image of God. Right. A lot of times people don't even know that. They live their life dictated by someone else's feelings and someone else's actions, and it destroys them. They live through life unhappy. They live through life trying to figure out what's wrong with them. And that's where a lot of all these other issues come in, such as depression, suicidal thoughts, becoming an introvert, don't want to be bothered with other people, anger. All these other facets of emotions then play a major role in how this manipulated person handles themselves. But we have to realize that God didn't make us that way. That comes from the enemy. The enemy comes to kill, he comes to steal, and he comes to destroy. He comes to kill, steal, and destroy everything about us to make us not feel like we are good people. Make us not feel like, come on and join us. Come on, sit up and join us. Thank you so much. We're so glad to have you with us today. What the enemy does, he tries to make us feel like we're less than. There's certain people that are so bossy and so aggressive and so domineering over our lives that we don't realize we're being controlled. We just know that we better do what they tell us to do, because if we don't do what they tell us to do, we know what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. That's either in marriage, it can be just in a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, it can be on your job, it can be platonic friends. I was caught in that one time where I felt like if I didn't please this person. We couldn't go out to lunch together. I'm talking about a platonic friendship. Going out to lunch and all you do is argue the whole time you're out. Because you didn't do this or you didn't do that. And why did we go to this restaurant? And how come you ordered that food? Well, that's what I wanted to eat. So why would I not order what I want to eat? But in ordering what I want to eat, then these people now are upset with me. I know there are some of you out there that you're now beginning to discover just by this conversation that we're going to have. You're going to realize and discover that somebody is controlling your life. Somebody has power over your life, over your emotions, over how you think, how you dress, how you smell, how you sit, how you breathe. Everything that you do, somebody else is controlling. And God is your creator. He's the one that puts the breath inside of you. God is the one who makes you or after his image. But what we do, we got these little gods running around trying to control other people's lives, say, I'm your God. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. So I'm going to talk about manipulation, and we're going to come from the one scripture of 1 Samuel 15 and 23. It says, for rebellion and manipulation are really the same. They're contrasts together. It's as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry. Now, isn't that something? Manipulation and rebellion are as the sin of witchcraft. And we as people, we need to recognize it, and we need to figure it out, and we need to let people know you cannot manipulate me any longer. You cannot manipulate my feelings, how I think, what I do. And I'm going to give you a lot of examples. I'm going to give you even some of the should syndrome. I'm going to let you know what it, and this is, okay, let me say it this way. This is going to be part one of this session that I'm talking about, because there's so much involved, there's so much information that I won't be able to complete it all in this session. So I've already done part one, and then we'll do part two next week. So keep in mind that we're doing manipulation, the sin of witchcraft. We're going to make sure that you understand what it's about, why it's happening, how you can get out of it. Which one are you? Are you the manipulator? Are you the manipulated? Which one are you? You have to understand, you're one of those, if you fall in this category of people having power over you or people telling you what to do consistently. So, what is manipulation? I'm going to give a definition of it. It says it is an art of controlling people or circumstances. It's an art, which means that if I consider theater or acting as an art, or you consider singing as an art, or drawing as an art, then that would mean that you've been practicing. You've been practicing on who you're going to manipulate. You've made it an art now because you have found the right people to play the role of the manipulator. Isn't that awful? But that's what happens. And so we want to talk about this. We want to talk about, don't want to get it confused with persuasion. So we want to make sure that we understand the difference between manipulation and persuasion. Now, we are already talking about manipulation. It uses emotional means to get their way. A lot of people use a lot of emotion to have their way over someone else's life. Now, persuasion is different because it uses logic to achieve a certain goal. It's just, let's work on this, and I can persuade you that this is the right way to go. And only way that it wouldn't be is you have a better solution. So it isn't a matter of manipulating. It's just that if you don't have a solution to it, and I do, then I can persuade you to work with me, and let's come to the same end result that we would have come to if you did have a reason, or if you did have another objective. So this is what I want to, oh, that sounds good. I heard that chip crack. I heard that. They're eating. That's why it's called Lunch with Birdella. They are really eating when they sit here, and I'm enjoying it. I love it because they're enjoying themselves. They're relaxed. They bring their lunch. Sometimes we have it laid out here as well. But I'm so glad that you're with us, even by way of Facebook, just to hear this important issue about manipulation and what it does to us. The Bible says it's a sin. It's controlling, it's having power over other people. And so I said it is, the definition is, it is an art of controlling people or circumstances, and people use all kinds of indirect or direct unfair, did you hear me? Unfair, deceptive means for their own advantage. It's always unfair because you're messing with someone else's life. It's always unfair because you're messing with someone else's emotions. It's always unfair because you are taking control over them and not allowing them to be who they're supposed to be. The Bible says that we're all wonderfully and fearfully made after his image. If that's correct, then why is it that someone else is trying to change my image? Why is it someone else is breaking me down to look like this or like that when I'm supposed to look like this? And if we would begin to recognize what manipulation does to a person, I think it would help us to walk out of that atmosphere much quicker. Instead of sitting there saying, well, if I don't do it this way. I'm not talking about people who have a job to do. If you have a job to do and your boss is saying that you have to do it, and then you're getting mad with them because you want to do it whenever you want to do it, that's not manipulation. That's you just not being effective. You're just not doing your job. So that's a lot different than someone that's just trying to take control over your life. So the people who are manipulated, all others have control over them. This type of control belongs only to God, as I said earlier. It really belongs to God. And we need to understand that that's what is happening here. So now people are persuaded, as I said earlier, we already defined it. They're persuaded to do things a little different, but that's a whole lot different than manipulation. There are different signs of persuasion too, which is called the should syndrome. Now we're going to talk about persuasion. We're not talking about manipulation now. I'm going to show you what persuasion means. Persuasion means you say to someone, you should show me respect because you owe me. Another should syndrome is you should meet my needs. You ought to. Okay. Another should syndrome is you should make me happy. I expect you to. And then another one is you should give me security because you're supposed to. Those are the should syndromes. But even in the should syndrome, these are a sign of manipulation. No one should have to do these because you said that I owe you, or that you ought to, or I expect you to, or you're supposed to. It's not based on that. Manipulation implies that if you don't meet my expectations, then you are guilty. Or you're neglecting me. That's what manipulation does. It makes you feel guilty about what another person wants you to do with their life. Manipulation makes you feel less worthy because you're not being able to stand up or arrive to the standards of someone else's expectations. You have to know who you are. You have to be confident in the fact of who you are. When you were a certain age, you made up in your mind, I'm going to be this or I'm going to be that. Even if you said, I'm just going to leave the house when I turn 18, you have a goal. You had a goal. Even if you said, by the time I'm 20, I'm going to be married. Or by the time I'm 30, I'm going to be a millionaire. You have a goal in life. But what we do is, from the time that we say it, and while we're trying to arrive to that place, some things happen. A lot of things happen. We meet people. We bring people into our life. We invite them to come in and be our friend. We invite them to come in and be our girlfriend or our boyfriend. We even invite them in to be our husband or our wife. But we didn't take the time to guard our spirit to see that I accomplished the goals that I set for myself. And so we allow this guard to come down. And then when we let it down, the other person is already realizing that you're weakening because they're showing you all kinds of affection, or they're lavishing all kinds of candy and trips and all this stuff on you. And so now you've let your guard down, and they know when they can manipulate. They know when they can have power over you. They know when they can control you. And they get you right to that place where they say, I got you now. And then you find yourself out. And I've seen this. I'm sure some of you have gone places. You've even seen it probably on the bus or on the train. You see it when you watch a lot of these videos. You see it even in some of your family's lives, where you can see how people sit or act when they're with someone else. And you know something's wrong. You know something's not going well, but you can't put your finger on it. But what happens is, if someone, say it's a male and a female, boyfriend, girlfriend. Let's use that as an analogy. This is not of a truth. It's just an analogy. So the boyfriend is controlling the girl, all right? And sometimes the girl controls the guys as well. So the boyfriend is controlling the girl, and when she gets up to go somewhere, he want to know where she's going. Well, she's only going to the ladies' room. Can't she just do that? Does she have to? I mean, you could tell by the way she sat there long enough squirming that something is going on with her. So if she goes, then you're watching her, or you feel like you got to go with her and stand outside the door. Now, I can see it if you're in a place where there may be some threatening issues, where you feel like her safety may be involved. But when you're at someone else's home, when you're at a party, or you're someplace where I would think that you're on safe ground, that shouldn't be an issue. Or if she gets ready to do something at the table, you tell her you can't do that. Or she wants to talk to someone, you can't go talk to them. And you're wondering, why in the world is this going on? But you're watching it. Well, maybe it's okay. And we kind of brush it off. But those things lead to a lot of abuse, because what we're seeing out in the open, we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. Now, one of the things we had said last week when we were talking about the movie Sleeping with the Enemy. And some of you know it, some of you have seen it. It's with, I don't know the gentleman's name, but her name is Julia Roberts. She's just an awesome actress. And she displayed an abused woman, a woman who was controlled by her husband. She couldn't do anything right. He was rich, multi-rich, and she didn't have to work. And they lived in this beautiful beach house. And so if she went to the restroom and didn't put the towels back on the rack just right, he had a problem with that. He would take her by the hand. And the first time I saw it, I said, oh, how sweet. They're walking back into the room. And he takes her back in there, and he says, he points to the towels, and he says very quietly, is this the way these towels should be? And I said, what? I did not think that that's the direction it was going to go. Well, I really wanted to shut the movie off, but I said, now I got to see the rest of this. And so she goes over and she fixes them, and then when she's cooking, when she opened the cabinet doors, all of the cans have to be in order. Everything's in order. I mean, just lined up. She has to turn it around and make sure that everything's in order. I'm like, something is wrong with this whole picture. But you continue to watch it, and you see that she's really tired of it, but she doesn't know how to handle it. When they got ready to go to a party, she had the correct dress on that she wanted to wear. But he says, no, and it's cold, all right? It's cold outside. No, I want you to wear the black one with your back out. Now, she knows she's going to freeze. He knows she's going to freeze, but then he's going to put his trench coat on her. Now, how does that look with what she has on? But he's controlling. So when they get over to the house, when he got ready to leave, all he had to do was take a look at her, and the expression on his face was enough for her to know that they had to leave. Everything that they did in that home was controlled by him. Everything that they did, what he ate, how they handled themselves, their love affair, everything was controlled by him. But in the meantime, she's finding a way out of escape. And the Word of God tells us that he'll make a way of escape for us. Yeah. What she was doing was, and if you haven't seen the movie, I'm going to tell it anyway, but you'll enjoy it if you ever watch it. She had told him she had gotten a job at the library, but she was actually going to the Y, learning how to swim. And then one day she had it all planned out. This is her way of escape. She had learned long enough where she knew she would be an avid swimmer, and she was going to trust her life against the currents and the waves in the ocean. And they went out one evening, and the waves were high and whatever, and she pretended like she fell overboard, and they were trying to find her. They had a memorial. She's supposed to be dead, and here she is on a bus heading out of town to no place. She didn't care where she went. She was just leaving. She finally got away. Her life is doing good. She met someone else, but he found her because he heard about the fact that she was no longer she was not working at the library, but she had learned how to swim because someone had called. Well, in the end is tragic. I won't tell the end, but in the end it was as though she had no other choice but the decision that she made in order for her to be free. We do not have to, and we should not have to be in a place of violence in order to be free from violence. We should be a people where we understand that we don't have to live in this. We've got to find a way out. You better talk to someone. You need to cry for help. You need to cry out. You need to call someone. You need to tell somebody so that you can get out of this. There was another situation where a gentleman, his wife was the abusive one. And he told his friends, don't be surprised if one day you find me this way, blah, blah, blah. And sure enough, the wife killed him. So this kind of stuff is crazy, but it starts with manipulation. The domestic abuse starts with manipulation. Somebody's the manipulator and somebody's the manipulated. So what we're talking about is trying to get people to understand who you are. And we know that some of you are broken, that some of you were broken before you even got into the relationship. You were broken even before you met the other person. That's why you have to get your life together. That's why you have to find out who you are. That's why you have to say, if I got a lot of baggage, then I got to work it out. I don't need to put my baggage on somebody else. I don't need to have somebody else carry the weight of their issues on my shoulders when I'm already weighed down by my own problems. Yes. We need to get to that place of recognizing who we are. And when we do that, then we can have a better life. Even with the person that come into our life, when we get ready to go, here's just an acid test. I'm not saying this is going to happen. Go to a carnival with someone you just met, and they got this ice cream, and you like strawberry, and they like plain old vanilla. So you get in the line, and he's going to buy it for you, and you say, I want the strawberry. And he says, I want you to have the vanilla. I don't want vanilla. And you're thinking in your head, the Bible thought if I wanted vanilla, I would have said I wanted vanilla, but I don't want vanilla. I want strawberry. But outside, you're saying, no, I